This is a video about hue, saturation, and value, which is a way to describe color. So in order to understand what that means and how that works, it's helpful to think first about RGB, which is red, green, blue, which is another way to describe color. So with just three numbers, how green, how blue, and how red, we can describe any color. And we could plot them on an XY graph, the R, G, and B. And we could see in 3 dimensions, and we could see every color. So any point in this 3-dimensional space is going to be a color. So that's an interesting way to think about colors. And another interesting thing here, the difference between these two images is one, we're kind of looking at it from the top away, and the other one we're looking at it kind of up from the bottom. So that's why we've got that white point on the top and this black point over here, which would be on the bottom. So what that black point represents is the origin. So where we have 0% blue, 0% green, and 0% red. And this white point up in this close corner of the cube here that we're looking at would be 100% of each of those. And if we drew a line from that diagonal in between the white point and the all the way white point and the all the way black point, it might look something like this. So we can imagine this 3-dimensional space still, but the important part is we're going to think about this line going down the middle. And it's an interesting thing to think about that, like in the middle of this line, we might have 50% of each color, but we have gray as the end result. So anywhere on this line where all the percentage parts, that each of these 3 combining red, green, and blue parts combining is equal, it results in a gray line, some form of gray. But this line that goes down the middle is what really helped me understand what HSV represents. So another way to represent any point in this cube, and this is going to seem much more complicated, but another way to represent any point would be we could travel on this line, and we could say, how far do we go down this line? And then at what angle do we exit? A perpendicular line exiting straight off this line, but in any different angle around here. And then how far do we travel away from this line? And we could use that way of writing any line, any point. It's a admittedly more complex way to write any point in this cube, but we could use that in order to describe any point here. And that's what HSV is. So the V is where on the line it is, and the hue is the angle that we exit. It's always a perpendicular line, but it's the, somewhere between 0 and 360 degrees is the hue, and then the saturation is how far away do we go from the line. So 2 different ways with 3 numbers we can describe any point in this box. Another way to visualize in 3 dimensions this HSV system is looking at it like this, and this might be a little bit more intuitive of a way to look at it. So we can see still we have that gray line in the middle going from all the way white to all the way black down here. But now we have that circle, so it's a little bit easier to visualize leaving at some angle from this center point, and then how far do we go when we leave? That's our saturation. Right? So, okay, what have we done? We've just figured out a new way to write the same thing. So have we added any value? Yes, I think so. Because when we think about colors, we don't ever think about how red, how green, and how blue they are. We actually think of it more like HSV. So we think of what color it is, how dark it is, and how much color it is. So with just with, in our minds, we think more this way. So now, the reason I learned about this and the reason I got excited about this was because I was doing a project um, to try to recognize a yellow ball. And I'll show you a picture of this is the yellow ball that we were trying to detect, and behind it is my professor Sebastian, who got me excited about all this stuff. So thanks to him. But the interesting thing here is that the top part of the ball is much lighter, and the bottom part is much darker because it's got less light shining on it. But the hue, this color, is actually about the same all over the ball. So yeah, we might have more or less value here. Saturation probably is about the same, but our hue is what's really the same across this whole part. And that adds a lot of value because then we can just search in this range, somewhere in here, and that will help us find that ball. So that's how I used it. I hope that makes hue, saturation, value make more sense, because I had always heard those terms, but I had never really deeply understood what they meant. So yeah, hope you have a great day.